Hey everybody, welcome back to Hot Fuss. I'm Hannah.
I'm Andy.
Today we have one of our really good friends, Ovais.
Hi guys, how's it going?
So I'm sure you guys have heard of this. Last week, a lady named Sarah Brash called the cops at Yale University on Lolade Siombola just for sleeping on the couch in the common area in the dorm. This isn't the first time she did this. She actually did this to her friend previously named Jean Louis, who reportedly filed a complaint with the dean. You know, this keeps happening. I mean, we dealt with this last week on our Starbucks episode, May 8th in Rialto. There were 3 ladies who were just trying to leave their Airbnb. A lady next door called the cops on them just because she didn't wave or smile. And then in Oakland, another lady called the cops on a family who was just trying to barbecue in the park because they were using a charcoal grill. So what's going on? I mean, why does this keep happening? Every instance, it's like 911, 911, 911. It's all an emergency. Do these people need a reality check on what an actual emergency is? Because had they have grown up with me, they would have known.
Well, I mean, I think it's basically the climate that we're in. It's a lot of fear mongering, and we've just been in a place where fear is driving all of our actions. So seeing a person of color or somebody that's different, that's maybe they're not used to, being in a different position, it goes back to their mind as like, whoa, this is something out of place. I need to do something about it, or have a sense of like, my safety is now in jeopardy.
But would they have done that if those people were white, is the question. Would they feel that their safety was in jeopardy at that point? I mean, in this last one, she was in Oakland. Oakland. Come on.
Yeah, but you also have to realize Oakland's being gentrified.
Right.
So Oakland back in the 90s is way different. It's kind of like downtown LA, where downtown LA used to be
Skid
different
Row.
in 90s with the riots, and now you're getting all of, you know, the San Francisco money just flowing over. You're from San Francisco, you know what
The tech
Oakland.
industry, yeah. In Oakland, there's been a huge shift, and a lot of people that were living there for years got booted out. They got evicted, they got kicked out. That's been an ongoing thing, and it's been very controversial up there. It seems like there's the element of white people feeling empowered by this whole Trump administration and all of the white supremacists, all these movements that are happening, and people feeling more empowered and entitled to say what's on their mind and to act in such ways as like calling the police on someone who's not doing anything other than being black.
Sleeping on a
So-
couch in a dorm.
Yeah, so what
Barbecuing.
exactly, like, can you tell me more about that? Like, what,
Yeah.
like, was she a student?
Yes, she is a student.
And why was she sleeping?
I'm assuming it's because she was studying in the common
Okay.
area, and I mean, probably just fell asleep during studying, which is a common thing.
And so what did the cops do?
The
when they
cops
got that
forced
phone call?
her
What was
to-
the report?
Well, they asked her for her identification. She responded with, why? Why do you need my identification? Here's my key to my dorm room. I'll unlock it for you, and then you can see that I actually live here. And then they did receive confirmation from the faculty that she was a student there, that she was going there, and then they said, you're free to go. Without, actually never had to show her ID, which is awesome, because I'm so glad she stood up for herself in that way.
Right.
There was no reason. I mean, listen, if somebody's sleeping in a common area at a dorm,
That happens.
and that happens, and you're uncomfortable with it, go back to your room. It was at like 1:30 in the morning. What are you doing patrolling the halls at 1:30 in the morning?
Or get an apartment. Why are you in a dorm? It's a shared space. I mean,
Right.
the
Right.
idea of a dorm is that you're living with somebody else and sharing a room. So you should be used to having people coming and going.
Yep.
So
And other students crashing. I
other
mean, that
students
happens.
crashing, especially like during finals or like there's a test, people get tired. I mean,
Yeah.
classes start early, they go on till late, and people are just there studying. They just want a place of like some privacy or like away from wherever they are at.
Right. And these issues keep happening. And so the reason that we keep bringing it up is because it keeps happening, and we need to raise awareness, and we need to stand for what's right and protect all of the people, all of the minorities in this country, because we do experience still on a day-to-day basis racism. Let's not forget that, and let's stand up for what's right.
I feel like we're actually, for once as a society, starting to do this with the online platform, with social media. We're bringing this to everyone's attention, to the forefront, and it's not something that's getting swallowed and pushed to the side. So in a way, I feel like with this social platform, how fast things are moving online and how much much is getting exposed. In a way, this is creating a larger, more mass level of support that it's needed for years, and it's finally getting the attention that it needs.
Right, and it's because it's been happening for a very long time. Only now we have cameras and phones to actually capture the things that are happening. My point is that we need to call these people out and criticize them for that and make them feel bad about it, because they need to feel bad about it. They need to actually think about it. And so hopefully this will, create a conversation, start a dialogue, and then we can actually go from there.
Well, I mean, there's a way to talk without criticizing or making them feel bad, because if you don't talk to somebody from an open place, then they're not going to absorb it.
Exactly,
they're just going to get defensive and put their blocks up.
Because they feel like you're judging them.
Yeah.
You're not being open to. It's a conversation that needs to happen.
Right. It's more of a conversation, not a criticism.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to. It's good to have this stuff filmed, because people who act this way can then see themselves from another person's point of view, from another person's perspective.
Right.
Where it's so easy to be yourself and not see how other people view you when you act a certain way, or when you're being judgmental or discriminatory. And you might not even realize that you're acting that way. You're just so used to being, functioning in a certain mode, that now people have this unique opportunity to reflect back on the way that they acted and realize that, I probably didn't do the right thing.
Yeah, and I get that. I think that the issue then becomes is that who are our role models that are like saying that this is not okay? We have somebody in the White House, the presidency, that does all of this and gets away with a lot of that. And it empowers people to be like, it's okay to act this way. And maybe that's why we're seeing a lot more people behaving that way, is because there's somebody there like, look, you can be the most powerful human being on the planet and not care what other people think or how they are, and treat them a certain way, and life will just be fine. No one can do anything about it.
Well, criticisms also aren't, when I say criticize, I think that people take that word and they think automatically that's a negative thing. But to criticize is to critique, right? You're basically just analyzing what the person did and then just saying, hey, I don't think this is right. And there's nothing wrong with that. There can be positive criticisms, you know what I mean? We all need to change. I think we're ever evolving human beings, especially in this society, especially in this environment that we're in. So I think it's super important when you do see things that are hurting a certain group of people, that you call it out and just say, this isn't okay. I mean, we have to be able to say this is not okay.
It goes a little bit further. Is you have to first introduce people to hey, we're all human beings. So I think a little bit of disconnect that happens is that people think their tribe, dehumanize themselves or take them away from a tribe. Like, oh, I'm of this race, so I'm this way, and I should only be concerned with the issues that concern this person or that person. They don't realize that universally, all the issues affect all of us in some way, shape, form, or the other. We don't know. I mean, you could have a child tomorrow and they could marry somebody of color or somebody Caucasian, and they could face different challenges than we face.
And our job is to make it easier for them.
Our job is to make a platform. Yeah, right. To make a platform that is beneficial to all.
Let's check out our artist of the week, Kelli McNeil.
Kelli McNeil is a multifaceted LA-based artist and author. The digital pieces shown here are from her Girl series, which was displayed at the W in Hollywood. To learn more about Kelli's work, please check out her link in the description below.
As mentioned before, Kelli is an author of children's books. Her most recent piece was Sleepy Toes, which was deemed one of the 15 best picture books of 2017 by We Are Teachers, and it's available online. We've included the links below in the description, but you can find it on Barnes & Noble and Amazon.com. Check it out.
So Spotify has a new policy on hate content and hateful conduct. They decided not to promote R. Kelly's new album because of the sexual allegations that are going on against him. The policy says, we do not tolerate hate content on Spotify. Content that expressly and principally promotes, advocates, or incites hatred or violence against a group or individual based on characteristics including race, religion, gender identity, sex, ethnicity, nationality, sexual orientation, veteran status, or disability. That was Spotify, and Pandora has followed suit. I personally have an issue with this because if they're going to start doing this with R. Kelly, then they need to do this with Chris Brown, Michael Jackson, Nick Carter, Red Hot Chili Peppers, Marilyn Manson, Dr. Luke. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. And then how far back are we going to go with this? First of all, these are only accusations. There's no convictions, and there's no pending criminal charges against him. Why are they deciding that R. Kelly, why is it that he's the one that they're going for, but not anybody else? That's my question.
I mean, for me, I thought he went to jail for... Okay, so maybe I'm a little confused.
He actually settled all the cases that he was involved in where he was accused of having sex with a minor 14-year-olds, and it's videotaped. There's like well over 20-something sex tapes out there of him having sex with a minor, and that's nothing new. A lot of these cases settled, but I think this kind of goes back to the whole racial issue of how women of color have been treated and kind of tossed to the side by our society. I think it's a way deeper issue than you're, I guess, just smoothing it over.
I'm not trying to smooth it over, but it's like...
It's way more complicated than that. If you look at the cases, there's actually a lot...
Yeah.
There's plenty of evidence, but they don't want to hear...
Why hasn't he been convicted?
They settled.
Yeah.
But so did Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson settled. I mean,
was there proof with Michael
no
Jackson?
proof
there
with
wasn't
Michael
like
Jackson.
Videotapes and
There's
all of
hard,
that.
Yeah, there's
Then
hard
why'd he settle?
evidence.
I don't know. I mean, Michael Jackson at the height of his career was like untouchable at that point, and anything that tarnished his image, it was a different image. He's a different artist than R. Kelly is, I think.
I don't even think it's just an image issue. It also has to do with, I think Michael Jackson, I think we should set that one aside because I believe that that's a completely different issue on its own. The issue with R. Kelly has a lot to do with just
the evidence behind it.
The evidence behind it. There is hard evidence of him having sex with minors. It's filmed footage in his own home.
But there's no convictions.
Because they settled. Here's what happens in these types of cases typically. What happens is that these young girls that have to go through the whole trauma of reliving this whole thing, the attorneys that are trying to get them to settle, R. Kelly's attorneys, I guarantee, pushed and pushed and pushed and manipulated and made it impossible for them to want to put their foot down as young girls. It's scary for a girl to go up in front of a court, in front of a bunch of strangers, in front of the person that essentially raped them and filmed it when they were too young to make a proper decision for themselves and talk about it. That is so traumatizing as a girl. So I think that's why in a lot of these situations, they opt for the settlement. What are they going to... It's horrible. It's torture
painful
for them.
to
It's really
relive through that.
Yeah.
And then you being of legal background, the lawyers just keep on pushing it further and further and further and further out.
They're very good at that.
And I'm not saying that it's right, but what I'm saying is that, for example, Harvey Weinstein, right? Are we going to stop watching all of his movies now?
Well, people have. I mean, he's lost his production company, the whole Me Too movement that comes out of there. But it goes back to the whole predatory nature of people really taking these...
Well, men.
Men. I mean, there could be women, too.
Yeah.
There's women out there.
The majority is men. Historically, it's men.
When do you separate the art from the artist? That's what I want to know. When does it become that you're going to stop talking about... I mean, and Bill Cosby is an example, right? Are you guys going to stop watching...
He finally got convicted.
He did get convicted, but are you going to stop watching The Cosby Show? If a rerun comes on, are you going to change the channel? I mean, how far are we going to go with it?
I mean, it's a personal option.
Yeah,
it's a personal decision that everybody needs to make.
Then let people make that decision. If it comes on Spotify and you don't want to hear...
Spotify is a privately owned company, and it's their decision and their morals whether they want to be aligned with somebody like R. Kelly or not.
Just like it's Chick-fil-A's right to support anti-gay movements.
I disagree because that's based on religion, and there should be a separation of church and state.
But my point is, that's a private company, a privately owned company that is making a decision to fund a certain organization that, in a sense, is hateful.
Right.
But I mean, this is different.
Which is legal, technically.
But this is a different scenario. They're not taking his music off of Spotify. They're just not promoting his new album. And I commend them for that.
I mean, I
Yeah.
just completely disagree with you because, like, then do you have to do that for everybody? You have to do that
It's a first step.
Yeah,
This is the first step. If somebody doesn't take the first step, then no one's gonna do it.
So they're making him an example.
It's an example, and it's a starting
the
point.
beginning,
It's a starting point. You can't just be like it's all or nothing. It
Right.
has to start somewhere,
Right.
and it's going to snowball. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow if this is going to actually affect people like Chris Brown or Nick Carter or whoever has been accused or has hard evidence against them. But it's just the baby. The baby's just growing.
I mean, I feel like it
Right.
should be up to us, though. I feel like it should be up to us to say, we don't want to listen to this anymore, so we're not going to subscribe. They're forcing that upon us.
No,
And I don't like
all
that.
they're not forcing that upon us. They're still streaming his music on Spotify. When you go on there, they promote new albums that have been released, okay? All Spotify is doing is not promoting his new album. They're not saying you can't listen to it. It's there. You can listen to it. They're not promoting it. You get what I'm saying?
So if you're an R. Kelly fan, you can still
still
search
listen.
it.
Yeah, you
and
can
you
still
can
search
still
it.
listen
You can
to
still
it.
listen to it. They're not pulling his songs off of Spotify.
And I'm not, actually. I mean, I mean,
And I get where you're coming from.
Yeah.
You're
Right.
going for more of like, let's be equal and let's
Right.
have that same playing field. I think
especially until there's a conviction. I mean,
there's a lot of things that go under. You can't go with the conviction
you
aspect
can't.
of things.
And there's people that get convicted that are completely innocent. Too.
Yeah.
So you can't go off of that.
Then
What-
you're
what
going
do
with
you
the
go
rule
off
of
then.
Huh?
What do you go off of? You can't
There's
go off
hard
of conviction.
evidence with R. Kelly.
But there's hard evidence against our president, and he's the president. You know what I mean? So, like, that's just...
And he hasn't been convicted,
Exactly.
so we can't go with the conviction. It has to go with
I mean,
your
you're
own
right.
personal decision.
You're right, but people still elected him. So what I'm
Right,
saying
but
is,
who are the
give us...
people? But who are the people that elected him?
Wow.
We can get into the whole electoral college
Not
and
the
we can go
majority.
to the popular vote, but
Yeah,
that's a
not the
whole
majority.
different aspect of things. But legal system there's loopholes and people know how to play around with it and get what they want.
I believe that it's a good thing that people who are finally in a position of power are doing the right thing for once. Instead of burying all the women and children and anyone that's been sexually assaulted or violated or harassed, for once the people that are in a position of power are taking the right step forward instead of just being like, oh, we're just going to brush this under the rug and keep promoting.
Okay, so I
They're
understand.
doing the right thing.
I understand what you're saying,
and
but
they're making an example of R. Kelly, but this is the first step.
okay.
R. Kelly's not going to be the only one, I promise you.
Going back to their quote, going back to their actual policy where they're saying they will not tolerate hate content or anything that incites hatred or violence against any particular group. Do you know how many songs are on there that have that type of content on there? They literally need to filter and filter and filter. Eminem has shit that he's talked about against gay people. So are they going to take Eminem off of there? I mean, are they going to stop
Well,
promoting
they're
his
not-
new
they're not
albums?
taking-
They're not
they're not
promoting.
taking- stop
They're not
promoting.
promoting.
Are they going
They're
to stop
not-
promoting his new albums if he comes up with new ones? I doubt it.
I don't know. We don't
He's
know
white.
that.
We don't know that.
I doubt it. I doubt it. I very heavily doubt it. And I think that they are being extremely discriminatory when it comes to this
I
point
think-
because this is the only person they're doing it against, and there's thousands of artists
We
on there
should
that have hateful content that they're not doing anything about.
We should encourage Spotify and Pandora in taking the step and taking it into a broader spectrum.
Right.
I agree, but do it equally then.
You're all or nothing. Your philosophy is like it's all or nothing. And
Right.
and a lot of
Well, yeah.
times it doesn't happen that way. Movements and grassroots and transformations in society all
One step
begin
at a
with
time.
one step at a time, one person at a time. And then it starts adding up and starts really transforming our society. That's how, civil rights, women's rights, all of that started with somebody, Rosa Parks, take a look at. It started with somebody taking a step forward.
Mhm.
And then everybody else joining in and creating that movement to transform our society.
I agree with you, but at the same time, there's so many obvious other options too. That why aren't they saying anything about that?
Because R. Kelly just
Why
came
him?
out with a new album.
Yeah, but there's other people that have come out
And
with
he
albums.
also has a case going against him currently, a civil suit, right?
I believe he has
Yeah.
two at the
Two?
moment, two accusations. I'm
So
not,
there's currently things that are happening with R. Kelly legally that again, since 1975 that he's been doing this
he's
stuff.
been doing it for that
There's,
long.
20 years, yeah.
I think that's more than 20
More than
years.
20 years. It's like 30-something years.
I know. I mean, for God's sakes,
How old is he?
he's
He's
old.
50-something.
Yeah,
He's old,
Yeah.
but I mean...
he's still 30.
He's not old. 50, what?
I mean,
our
that's
50-year-old
not-
viewers.
50-year-old's not old.
He's
That's
not old.
That's not that old.
Well,
But anyway, the point is that you have to take one step at a time. I think it would be wise for us all to wait and see what happens. Because sometimes before making a hardline decision on something that you're with or against something, sometimes you need to take a step back and watch things unfold a little bit before you make a complete, this is how I feel about this, and like they shouldn't do this. Because once you shut things down like that and you put a wall up, then you're not going to allow for change to occur and for conversations to happen. You know what I mean?
well, it's funny because you're in the legal industry, right?
Right.
And so in this country, it's innocent until proven guilty. And he hasn't been proven guilty. And so to me, it's a little bit difficult for me to say anything because...
But have you actually read the cases?
No, but that doesn't
Okay,
matter.
so you
It
can't be
doesn't
the judge
matter.
of that.
Listen,
And
we
there's
live in the
hard
United
evidence.
States. Listen, that's...
And it goes further
It doesn't-
beyond that. If there was footage of him raping a 14-year-old white girl, I guarantee he'd be in prison
Yeah.
now.
Well,
But
of course.
all the girls that he raped were 14 and 16. They were all
Women of color.
underage. And they were all women of color.
Listen.
That is the issue.
But we live in the United States of America, right? Where there is a due process. And so if
And
he
where
has
people
not
of
been...
color have been pushed down and
And
suppressed
undermined.
and undermined
I
and
get what you're
tossed aside
saying.
for years and years and years.
I get what you're saying, but until Bill Cosby was convicted, we couldn't make a decision on that. So he was just convicted very recently, within the past couple of weeks. And so he's guilty.
And most of those women were white, weren't they?
Yeah, but I'm not talking about that.
But that's the
It is.
point.
It's important.
It's
It's
important.
important to take a look at that. Is because if it's
It matters. It's exactly the reason why he is or is not convicted. I promise you this.
I mean, I don't know.
The United States, I'm sorry to say it, but the United States, and I'm going to say this for all the people of color, do not value women of color.
Oh, I agree.
And it's,
100%.
The saving grace is women like Oprah and other...
Maya Angelou.
Yeah, and the great, actresses and writers and creative
activists
types,
and the
the
philanthropists.
activists. But there's so few of them, and there's so many more women out there that are not treated fairly and equally, and they are women of color.
I just don't think there should be maximum punishment when it comes to accusations, and that's how I feel that's happening.
It is not maximum.
No.
It is just refusing to promote his album.
That's
It's
his
still
livelihood,
there.
though.
It's not his livelihood.
No.
His music, his royalties.
People who are R. Kelly fans that are there for the artistry of him
They
will
go to
look
his
him
concert.
up. Yeah, they'll go to his concert. They can YouTube him or still search for him. So it's still there. It's just a personal decision to be like, hey, this is enough's enough.
And then on top of that, I will say that Spotify and iTunes and whatever else, Pandora, those artists don't make that much money off of those plays or sales. They make their
7
money.
cents.
Yeah, they make their money off of concerts. So if somebody is a real R. Kelly fan and they don't care what he did with who, and they're not worried about his raping young girls that are not legal and filming it and all the other nasty stuff that he's done, then by all means go to his concert and support him and keep the money rolling for him. But I fully support Pandora and Spotify for making the decision that they made to put their foot down, finally.
And Spotify.
That's what I said.
Said Pandora.
And Spotify.
Oh.
I'm excited to be on this week, especially because it's Met Gala week. And this year, it was Heavenly Bodies, Fashion, and the Catholic Imagination. So, what are your guys' thoughts?
I loved it. I was born and raised Catholic. I was super religious. And so seeing all of that reflected in art was interesting for me. I love crosses and all that stuff, like the black, dark, gothic type of look. I think that Madonna did a great job with like a prayer. I love Madonna. I'm a huge Madonna fan. I thought that bringing that into fashion was pretty intense and unique.
There were some amazing dresses. Some of the pieces, I think Blake Lively's Versace gown took about 600 hours to make all by hand. which was great. Donatella actually did an amazing job, not only with her, with Joan of Arc theme for Zendaya. Then Priyanka Chopra and her Ralph Lauren looked great. I think the hair could have been a little bit better, but we'll excuse her for that. Hannah, what were your thoughts?
Well, okay, I feel a little conflicted about all of this because of the Catholic Church's history with just historically how they've treated women and people of a lower class, and then with all the child molestation cases. So I think it's very interesting for the fashion industry to choose Catholicism as their Met Gala of the year and the Catholic imagination. I don't know. Like, it just, there's a hint of it, a very heavy hint of it that rubs me the wrong way. No pun intended.
Literally. Good choice of words.
You were missing the boys. You were missing the boys.
Yeah.
Obviously. But aside from that, I will say that I have always appreciated the artwork and the creativity that the Catholic Church did bring about throughout history. And the churches themselves are gorgeous, and the artwork in the churches are amazing, and the garbs. With the Met Gala, I think the dresses were amazing. I was in love with it. I really was. I still feel a little weird about the whole Catholic thing.
What do you think about it coming at a political climate with the Me Too movement and everything that's been going on?
I'm curious as to what the message might be. If there's some kind of underlying message. There's so many movements with the Me Too movement, with Black Lives Matter, with all of this stuff that's happening now in the entertainment industry. It's interesting for them to bring the Catholic Church into the mix. So,
well, it's also primarily a male-dominated section, right? So basically, there are no female priests in the Catholic realm.
right.
So this was primarily female. Were there any males?
No, there was a couple. I mean, Chadwick Boseman looked great. Jared Leto had his own thing. But, I mean, in general, the fashion industry is female dominated.
Right.
It's like the only industry in the world where women make like 3 times as much as men do. So,
But
I mean, maybe that was the take that, like, maybe, you know, that's in the past and now all these women are leading forward and women are taking charge. I don't know, maybe there was somewhere in there, subcontext in there.
Well,
Maybe.
Rihanna was wearing like a Pope's
like that
cloak,
one.
which was amazing. I thought it was beautiful. But that's also, like, is that sacrilegious? Like, I wonder what the Catholic community
I
actually
think
thinks
it's
about
cool.
this. I do too.
I think it's cool that as a woman of color, Rihanna wearing a Pope-inspired outfit, I think that's super bold and
Well,
very
Jesus
cool.
was black-ish.
Middle Eastern. We'll go
I
with
mean,
that
he
one.
was dark.
Who knows?
Maybe it's, I mean, Rihanna's
Jesus knows.
always kicked off at the Met Gala. She's always been, I guess I missed that.
Jesus knows.
Jesus knows. Jesus knows. But I mean, it's always like the Met Gala is always something that I look forward to every year because the pageantry and the costumes and the way you can really take the theme and literally like run with it in so many different ways to see people outside of their norm of what, you know, fashion is or what fashion can be taken from an inspired past is very intriguing to me, and I want to be at the Met Gala one year. So if anybody's out there get me tickets to the Met Gala, that would be amazing.
It looks like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
I'm not into drag, but I mean, like, some of those dresses were pretty.
Sure.
Did you want to be Joan of Arc? You wanted to be Joan of Arc, didn't you?
I don't want to be burned at the stake.
No, but you wanted that dress.
Oh, yeah. I love the diamonds. You were going somewhere else. I was actually going to say, love, give me diamonds. But.
Okay. I thought we were going to go with the Rihanna theme. Shine bright like a diamond. I just thought that.
Everyone else is so innocent. I'm the only one with the dark.
You
Well,
just went to a dark
Catholic.
place. Dark. There you go.
Altar boy.
I have nothing to do with this.
Well, I think that it was beautiful. I liked it a lot. I'm looking forward to next year's.
Or maybe
It'll
we
be
have some
interesting.
inspiration for our Halloween costumes. So
Oh, yeah.
maybe a Halloween-inspired Met Gala
I'm
outfit.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm
gonna
I
down.
don't
do
know. Maybe we can
Riri's
all. I mean, you can be Riri.
outfit this year.
I'll be Priyanka because, you know. And then somebody else can be someone else. You can be Joan of
I'll
Arc.
be,
You can be
Joan of Arc.
I'll be
there
Joan
you
of
go.
Arc.
That's look out for us.
I
In
definitely, yeah.
And we have.
yeah.
So speaking of drag, there's an event coming up tomorrow, right?
Yes, there is. I'm super excited about it. Miss OC Pride presents a spotlight, which is happening at Main Street Bar in Laguna Beach at 5 p.m. tomorrow. What it's supporting is OC Pride and Men's Alive, which is the OC Men's Gay Chorus. Super excited about it. There's Ava Stone, there's going to be Anya Nuts, Wilhelmina Caviar. It's all to support that. It's $20. It's going to be for a great cause. And I will be there as well.
I will be there.
And so we're going to have a really great time. So please show up and support our community.
So the three of us actually have an interesting past. We're all friends, and Andy and I actually met through Ovais. Ovais, you want to talk about how we met?
Through me. I'll talk about how I met each of you
Yeah.
first. So I'll start with Andy, since I met him before Hannah. Andy, I met when I was sneaking into the Boom Boom Room, this like gay bar back in the day in Laguna, where Andy would come in like with his sparkly, shiny headphones, and I was hanging out with my first gay friend, which I was like terrified because he is super gay. And
To this day.
he's his own zip code or something else. So we get into this bar, Boom Boom Room, and we're just hanging out, and my friend goes to me, he's like, oh, let's go hang out by the DJ booth, and he had like a crush on you. And I think you realized it later at like a party at Shirley's house.
Like
That
I
was
remember
that.
this. It was yesterday.
Yes.
I remember this.
So that's how I met Andy, just like chatting, and I think it was like when you were new to the city as well.
Yeah, very new.
So that's how we got connected. And then we slowly kept in touch over the years. And Miss Hannah, I met at a belly dancing class. So I used to take this belly dancing class at IVC, and I used to take a few other classes, jazz, ballet. And we instantly just became friends because she's such an amazing dancer. You guys have to see her belly dance.
Right.
So good.
Yeah, you can check her videos out at xtube.com.
No, not those kind of videos.
Oh,
No.
sorry.
But she was always so amazing, and always took hints and pointers from her.
And you also actually ended up in 2 of my choreographies for the school.
Yeah.
I was actually invited to choreograph for the school for their semi-annual show for 2 semesters. I was invited back the second time. The first time, though, you were in the first one, the very first
Yes.
one. So that was
Where we
kind
with
of,
Olga and we did that whole
I
like
know,
longer
I know. It was
longer piece. Yes, it was amazing.
I remember getting so annoyed with you though, because you'd be like staring at yourself in the mirror. In
I would
class.
not be.
Yes,
I don't know
I'd
what
be
they're
trying to-
talking
I'd
about.
be trying to like talk to you. I think you were mad at me, so you would just stare. You would just stare in the mirror.
No.
You're like,
He wasn't mad at you. If you put a mirror around,
That's
it's
true.
gone. He's gone.
I know.
And
It's like a dog with a bone.
Okay, all right. Wow. So that's what you really
It's
think of
getting-
me.
Oh my God.
These two then met at a birthday party of
A
mine.
very
You're a
scandalous.
Very scandalous, very crazy. It was like
Birthday party.
200
Why was it
people.
scandalous?
Oh.
You were DJing, but didn't you see the people like hooking up on top of that
No,
lawn?
I was DJing.
Full on.
They're like full on
having
everything.
sex.
There was like
No.
another boy hooking up with another man, and
I was
there-
focused on the music.
yeah, it was
I
amazing.
was doing my job.
She was doing her job. It was white dance floor, this beautiful backyard with
Yeah.
like a fire pit, a hot tub, and a gazebo. It was a great birthday. It's like one that we still talk about. Everybody that attended that party.
There was
still
like
talks
250
about it.
people there. It was
Yeah.
crazy.
People were just crashing all over Orange County. They were like, "What is
Right.
this party?" And
Right.
it was great. And so that's how you guys met and connected, and
I
then we
can't
all just
believe
started
it was
hanging out.
that party. I felt like it was. I mean, I feel like we've known each other much longer than that, but it's been a long time.
It's been a long time. It's almost like 7, 8 years.
Yeah, let's see. I'm 24.
Shut
So
No, he's not.
Like 2 decades ago.
guys, I'm on Match.com. So I'm 24 and
You've been outed. I'm sorry.
damn it. Okay, I'm 72.
That's actually very true.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
you were
actually,
born
like,
in
from the
72? Is that what you're saying?
close.
But that's how we all know each other, and
Yeah.
we've ever been like a happy unit, a great family, and we all get each other's temperaments and really understand each other's quirks, and are really patient with each other and growing together. I think that's the big part.
Right. We are.
And the crazy bunch that we are.
We're also in a polyamorous relationship. And if you'd like to know more about that, click on the.
No.
Just kidding, Tim.
Oh my God.
That's my her boyfriend.
Oh,
That's
I didn't
your
know you were the
boyfriend.
Tim.
Yours.
Oh.
Tim, you have some explaining to do.
It's been a great year. And yeah.
It's a great journey, and I'm so grateful to have these two with me in this journey called life.
Cheers.
Yes.
Thank you for always being such good friends.
Thank you for
Thank
being
you.
Family, more than friends. Family.
That's true. Yeah.
Thank you for watching this episode. It's been a lot of fun. If you have any comments, please put them down below. Like, subscribe. We want to hear from you guys. If you have any other things you'd like to tell us or suggestions you have for us, please send us a message.
Or topics to talk about. Maybe that could be something
Yeah.
that people could, if there's somebody or there's a guest that
Always.
they want to have.
Always. If there's somebody you want to see, or if you guys want some more information on the stuff that we've talked about before, by all means, hit us up.
Absolutely. And if you want to be a guest, you can also hit us up. My Match.com profile
Oh, God. You're really plugging that Match.com.
Sorry.
I know.
What happened to
92.
Tinder and Grindr and
I'm 92
Scrub?
years old. I've got to get married and have kids.
He's
like,
trying
soon.
to find a husband.
My eggs are drying up as we speak. So
What?
thank you guys so much.
Yes,
Thank you for having me, you two.
Absolutely. Thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. This is Hot Fuss, you guys. Subscribe, like, love you. Peace.
Bye.